The Sigma male is known to work with laser beam focus, with an emphasis placed on the things that improve them and the lives of those around them. In this video, we're going to discuss the inherent skills of Sigmas that give them an advantage in life when it comes to reaching their goals and getting what they want. You too can benefit by adopting some of these qualities in your life. You are not tied to your past and can change with sheer determination. So we have the free will to idealize certain qualities and choose how we want to manage our thoughts and, therefore, our emotions, which ultimately affects our behaviors, actions, as well as our outcomes in life. The Sigma male thinks outside of the box, as he's not tied to the pressures of society, as well as the need to be accepted. This trait alone benefits him in creative, productive, professional ways, and also in standing out as an attractive male. Creating potential. By being indifferent to the social constraints around what is trendy or cool, the potential to make truly unique works becomes even more viable. Making him more open to more ideas, he is able to find more ways to get ahead, the true hacks in life. Leadership. Some Sigmas are very inspiring as they lead by example. People working among and for Sigmas are often uplifted and motivated by seeing the Sigma in their leadership role working in accordance with their instinct and intuition, and they aren't conventional in their approach to problems. They are careful in the wording they use to convey their messages, so they are less likely to cause emotional friction with others out of sheer impulsivity. Much of their leadership is also conveyed by their high attention to detail, yet big-picture style of thinking. This is seen in the way that they do not stress the small things, yet have very high personal standards. Their leadership revolves more around leading by example and not pressuring their peers to conform. Because Sigmas are exceedingly practical and task-orientated, they tend to ignore superficialities. As a result, they often possess an air of modesty that's attractive and inspiring to others, and therefore are less likely to generate friction amongst team members. Part of their introverted nature means they tend to communicate in a calm and softly spoken manner, using language where they do not waste words and are precise in what they say. Ability to be alone. The critical power of the Sigma male is conventions don't bind him. He doesn't feel like he's missing out on something if he's alone on the weekend. A lot of people struggle to be alone, and it can be a big source of their unhappiness. It's normal to struggle with being alone for extended periods of time. Part of conquering loneliness is about forming a better relationship with oneself and with one's goals in life. A certain self-assuredness comes with being happy with being alone, which is why Sigmas often exude so much confidence without saying much. The skill of being able to be alone makes the Sigma very comfortable in their own skin, as they don't need anything from others, whether that's validation, attention, or admiration. Learning to be alone is something that can be cultivated over time for the most part. Dating specialists will talk about neediness being the most repulsive trait a man can have when attracting new partners. This is probably true. However, in the case of a grounded Sigma who is happy to be alone, he will naturally be able to convey indifference in his interactions with the opposite sex, because he needs nothing from them. This alone makes him stand out compared to most other men. He knows that his time alone is the time spent building his life and creating new visions and goals to manifest. So he doesn't see having dates and meeting new people as the be-all and end-all of his happiness. They are not constrained by needing to fit in. Because the Sigma male values themselves and live in accordance with his own values and not necessarily that of society's, there is an element of freedom that comes from being one's own person. The Sigma is less bound by conventions. They have it in their capacity to have more success with the opposite gender, as they are less likely to care about the perceptions of people or their environment, with most of the weighting being on what is important to them, being potential future partners. So he might not be fazed by having the courage to leave a compliment and open conversations with a complete stranger, even if other men are watching. Having the capacity to speak up immediately gives them access to far more possibilities than, let's say, a rigid alpha that's waiting for someone to talk to him first. Being more immune to the judgments of others also means the Sigma is more inclined to experiment more with their fashion, to figure out what complements their unique look and personality. Indifference in business. This same sense of indifference to fitting in also makes him more willing to pitch to investors or potential clients, opening him up to more opportunities. So there can be a financial benefit in being more immune or resistant to the constraints of society. This isn't only when it comes to saving more or spending, but in business as well. Sigmas are more inclined to have entrepreneurial visions and truly believe in them. One really has to cement their minds that if they put the work in, success is more than possible and will happen if they commit to the process and have sufficient patience. In general, most new businesses don't generate money and fold pretty quickly. The general experience one would have when discussing their business goal with others, when asking well-intentioned associates, is that they are responded to with advice, often implying they should instead find a stable job and play it safe. The Sigma generally won't look to others to find confidence and motivation to reach his goals. Playing it safe could be good advice in many cases, but the people who generally win in business are the people who keep their head down and continuously work. Elon Musk's two companies, Tesla and SolarCity, almost folded, but he stuck with the process. He maxed out credit cards and slept on the floor to maximize his chances of success. Many Sigmas are inclined to consider what the worst case would be for them in business, and if it means they'll still have food and a roof over their head, they are willing to take those risks. Being able to go against conventions with complete bravery can be a powerful recipe for success and a life of freedom, especially as most Sigmas despise the idea of the 9-to-5 desk job and seek freedom. For the Sigma, this can mean running as many side hustles as they can, often from their phone, leveraging as many platforms as possible. Richard Branson is another example of a successful Sigma. He never had an office in his life, yet found ways to still be exceedingly productive. Creative ways to get ahead is a key trademark of the Sigma. Much can be achieved on a mobile device these days, from video editing to graphic design and even content writing. Which begs the question, which of your tasks could be done on your phone while on the move? These sorts of questions can move you closer to finding ways to amplify and multiply your efforts to find the freedom to be and do whatever you want. The Sigma unconsciously aims to live outside of the matrix of social hierarchy and competes within his own sense of order. Because of this, the Sigma has less anxiety attached to his status, so less energy is expended on buying things to have a sense of keeping up with the people around him. His truest competition is with himself, cultivating his motivation each day to enable himself to do the things he doesn't necessarily want to do in the moment for the longer-term gains. Protects his time and invests himself. Sigma males possess strong boundaries. They are comfortable in saying no to others, and as a result, they are better at protecting their time and energy. Self-esteem is effectively built or maintained when we love ourselves and place our own needs above others. If one is to live in a way where they neglect their own needs, this can negatively affect one's sense of self-worth. Being able to speak up and say no to the things that don't feel right to us is not always easy, but ultimately it will protect our well-being and our most important goals. Because he has strong boundaries, he is very strict around who he allows into his life. This is one of the most important traits, as we become the average of the people we surround ourselves with. Even more, screening for good people is such an important quality and boundary to possess, to avoid betrayal and people that ultimately do not have your best interests at heart. Sigmas find unique and unconventional ways to hone their craft. They are visionaries, often perceived as eccentric, but they don't care. They are the type to be in a social setting and be preoccupied with something related to their goals, with the environment around them being secondary. Often they have an air of indifference, which gives them a carefree vibe that works to their advantage in a competitive environment. They seem to be functioning on their own set of rules, not the rules of the game where it might be the best looking or the tallest that has the attention with everyone else being ignored. The uniqueness of their vibe and energy is what gives them their edge over the average person who is yearning to fit in and be liked. Ultimately, if a Sigma male is goal-orientated, he is able to overachieve as he isn't held back by social pressures and is less inclined to spend time on things that don't directly benefit him. He has strong boundaries and is protective of his time. Excellent use of time and laser-sharp focus is arguably the most important ingredient for success. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our future content. And we'll see you next time.